story. There's a girl in high school. She's a member of the swim team. She's a daughter, a girlfriend, a cousin, a sister, and a friend to many people. But she has a problem. She has been in excruciating pain once a month for about a year. She unexpectedly started her period in the middle of her cosmetology class. But she thought to herself, you know what, it'll be fine. It won't be as bad as last time. I'll just take 2 painkillers like they said, and plus, I can't miss any more class because of this. But as she was working, she began to feel faint, nauseous, and her pain was only getting stronger. And yet she still ignored the urge to stop working and continued with class. But only a few moments later, she was vomiting in a trash can. She was crying, she couldn't breathe, and she was lying on the floor, praying that her pain would go away. And as she was lying there, waiting for help, her principal asked her, "Are you crying because you're in pain? Or are you crying because you're embarrassed?" She said that he looked at her like she was crazy when she said, "I'm crying because I'm in pain." This was her turning point. She knew she couldn't ignore her pain any longer, and she did everything she should do. She went and saw more doctors, more specialists, but every time she was met with the same answer. "Well, what's your diet like?" "Oh, you're probably just stressed out. Why don't you take some more painkillers?" She went through episodes in pain like this for months, wondering why out of all her friends, she was the only one who had to stay home during her period, wondering why the only answer she can get was to take some more painkillers and fix her diet. She went through this for almost a year without answers, before finally she got a possible answer from one doctor who, without pleading, diagnosed her with suspected endometriosis. This story is not made up. This story is not over-exaggerated, and this story has been cut down significantly and does not even begin to scratch the surface of what my best friend went through. This is the story of Emma Phipps. She's a daughter, a girlfriend, a cousin, a sister, and a friend to many people. And most importantly, she is human. And she was ignored by these healthcare professionals who thought her episodes were over-exaggerations. She went through this for almost 2 years, and I had to sit back and watch as someone I love endured pain again and again, with no help from a system built on helping people. She is one of the thousands of stories of women in pain. Women have been mistreated, misdiagnosed, and underrepresented in their pain for too long, and Emma is only one example. It is not only detrimental to the health of women, but it impacts identification for chronic illness across a variety of people. Everyone deserves a healthcare system that actually embodies what it's made to do, to help people get better. But is this really an issue? I mean, this is only one story, right? And it's not just one story, and yes, it is an issue. According to the CDC, currently an estimated 82 million people in America reported that they suffer from chronic pain. And of those people, 52% of them are women. So while women make up more than half of the chronic pain sufferers nationally, we often see misdiagnosis and inadequate care due to a lack of female studies as well as a gender bias in medicine. On average, women experience more wait time for diagnosis and are often re-diagnosed at some point in their life. One study shows that when women come to the ER with acute abdominal pain, they often wait around 14 minutes longer than their male counterparts, according to Harvard Education. And we see these wait times increase not only in emergency scenarios, but in diagnosis for chronic conditions as well. One study done by the National Institute of Health shows that women oftentimes after their first appointment wait 6 months for an actual diagnosis. And we see also that this diagnosis oftentimes is wrong. Out of 343 women, 40% were re-diagnosed at some point in their life, ranging from 1 day to 43 years. And of that group, 32% of them were originally diagnosed with a psychological disorder, only to later be re-diagnosed with a chronic pain condition. One explanation for this type of medical care can be correlated to a lack of representation and lack of funding in studies. In female-dominated illnesses, we often see a lack of funding to find causes and identify solutions. We also see a lack of specific lab results, being able to identify problems and come up with solutions. We see in symptom verification that differs between men and women, that in most cases, females aren't represented. One explanation for this can not only be attributed to a gender bias in medicine, but to a lack of female representation in medical books as well. Female anatomy and symptoms differ from men. However, in most cases, we do not see this type of representation in medical books. So how do we fix this? One great way to combat this issue is by doing what I'm doing now. Education. Having this issue be put under a spotlight and understanding that the things that women complain about in the medical system are real issues experienced by lots of people worldwide. Knowing this allows women to fight for themselves and fight for their treatment. Doctors work for you, not the other way around. And once we as a society can see that, we can start to heal from within. The more people that know about this issue, the more people that can fight against misdiagnosis and fight for equal treatment. Voting and calling your legislators to pass a bill that increases funding for women's studies is another great way to decrease the prevalence of this issue. But you may be asking, well, will this actually help? I mean, it seems so simple. And I argue that yes, something as simple as spreading awareness is an amazing way to get help to these women. Increasing the number of people aware of this issue increases the number of people who can help. And in most cases, we can see how awareness has been a call to act. Democratic Representative Raul Ruiz of California introduced a bill that forces studies to broaden their test subjects to include underrepresented groups, that of which including women. Advocacy groups like Women's Health Access Matters and the Society for Women's Health Research are other ways that groups of people fight for the inclusion of women in studies. But these advocacy groups and legislatures cannot happen without awareness. And these legislatures and advocacy groups cannot happen without people like you fighting to make a difference. It's as easy as asking your friends, family, and the people you interact with. Did you know? Educating people about how this problem can affect others is the first simple step. Research who you are voting for and see if they promote the funding of women's studies. Use the QR code above to find out more about this and to find out more about the advocacy groups I've talked about. Advocate for yourself and for others. If you see medical providers turning the other cheek to women's issues, speak up. It is destructive to let these medical providers dodge treatment for women based on gender biases or lack of education. This problem has affected women so much, and women wait in pain for lifetimes. They wait in pain for 43 years. This type of issue is not only a problem now, it's going to be a problem forever. So speak up for the people in your life. Advocate for yourself and for your loved ones. Advocate for the people in your life that are wives, mothers, grandmothers, and even just teammates, daughters, cousins, sisters, girlfriends, and friends to many people, and humans as a whole. Advocacy starts with awareness. And now that you are aware of this issue, go advocate for the people in your life. Please, go advocate for the thousands of women in pain. Here's my works cited. Thank you so much for your time.